Coleman, and I'm doing a persuasive speech. Drugs ruin young lives, young teen lives at that, especially athletes in school. Should drugs be mandatory for school athletes? Yes, they should be. Yes, they should be because of the money the schools are paying for their education. They should not be allowed to do drugs of any sort under that signed scholarship. Drug tests should be mandatory for school athletes because it can eliminate the student athletes that are doing these drugs, like enhancing their ability to perform, or drugs that are illegal. Period. To start off, drugs should not be used by student athletes at all. Shane Bohannon is a great example of a great student athlete that did drugs and was never accounted for because they never did drug tests. He was a tremendous basketball player at 6'6" and on his way to the NBA. Due to not drug testing players, Bohannon continued to smoke marijuana and got away with it. Due to a randomized test, Bohannon failed the drug test and was dismissed from the Louisville basketball team. If the schools would drug test all these athletes, this would have not happened and could turn out for better for Shane Bohannon and his basketball career. Failing the drug test could ruin his life on the basketball court or even in the real world, business world, or etc. Not just marijuana is hurting these kids. All drugs should be tested for. Steroids should also be tested for. This should be tested for once a month because steroids is a performance enhancement drug. Using this drug is basically cheating for the athletes. This drug can make you run faster, jump higher, big in muscle mass, and also extremely stronger than the competition. This does not make it fair to the other players that are putting in the work in their sport, and you have the other exceptional athletes shooting up steroids and other sports enhancement drugs. Because the school has not tested for them, that is a big reason why schools should do mandatory drug tests. There are many cons to not mandatory drug testing these students at all. Speaking from my own experience, they should mandatory drug test because it will make your school and the program you are playing in look bad. When I was at school, there was many different sports during doing drugs. You had your basketball players smoking marijuana, your baseball players doing cocaine and smoking spice and smoking marijuana, and your softball and volleyball players drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana when they wanted. The big topic on campus was no drug testing. With the school I was at, Middle Area, did not drug test at all. Therefore, it had all their students doing illegal things, doing drugs, doing anything they wanted because they knew they could get away with it. Because the whole campus just knew that they was not going to be drug tested, drug testing did not scare them. Drug testing needs to be mandatory for that reason exactly. Student athletes are just not caring and doing these things because they do not have any consequences that comes with these actions. The more schools mandatoриze drug testing, the better the percentage of students doing illegal drugs will go down. Sorry. Drug tests should be worldwide for schools that have athletes under that signed scholarship or paper. They shouldn't be able to do drugs and should have the players sign an agreement that they authorize the school to test them once a month for every drug there is. Legal or illegal, because the school should have the knowledge of what their athletes are taking into their bodies. These tests would also be great to get rid of the bad students doing these drugs. Don't let Shane Bohannon be you and learn from that mistake. It's time to crack down on these student athletes and mandatory drug test them once a month. I'm Coleman, and I am out.